Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next question or comment comes from Pedro H. And this was in response to video 2, how to restore the Roland D-70 using SYSEX, the factory restore. A video I did in April 2021. And Pedro writes, my D-70 displays MIDI buffer full. What do you think? Thank you very much for this video. A MIDI buffer full error effectively is telling you that too much data has been pushed into the D-70 memory before it can process it. And it can be caused by a number of factors, and here are my effectively troubleshooting steps. First of all, the SYSEX file you're trying to load is too large, and there could be a few reasons for that. The load options that you've selected do not match the data in the SYSEX, so you can do you can load all, you can load patches, you can load a subset of data. So if you have selected you want to load the patches and you have a file that has load all, it will not be happy with that. Or the SYSEX file that you're trying to load, even though it says it's a D70 SYSEX file, is not a D70 SYSEX file, and therefore the contents of the D70 file are just erroring, and it doesn't have very many. The D70 doesn't have very many error codes, and MIDI buffer full is kind of a catch-all. But I suspect if it's not an incorrect file, I suspect the answer is the data is being loaded in too quickly. The buffer is effectively a temporary storage location, so when you load data in, it goes into the buffer and then it writes from the buffer into the memory, and it's just a way of bridging the data coming into the memory write process on the D70. The technology on the D70 is quite old by today's standards, and the data transfer speeds are very low, and therefore to load any synth into the synth, or load data into the synth from any sort of modern PC, you really need to throttle the connection right back. In the first video of the Roland D-70 series that I did, I actually walked through the settings that I use for loading SYSEX files into the Roland D-70, and if you go back and you follow that, those settings I almost guarantee will throttle your machine to the point where it will load data into the D70. Okay, and in the actual response I put a video, but if you go onto my channel and you search for D-70 being Roland D-70, you should come up with a playlist, and in that playlist you will find the videos, and you're looking for video, the one that says video 1, okay, because that tells you all the settings that you need to put into whatever program you're using to capture or push the SYSEX files. The third issue could be that you haven't deleted the D70's memory prior to the data load, and therefore the D70 can't accept any new data, so the buffer is already full. It's a strange situation on the D70. The way the programmers did it meant that you actually had to unload, effectively had to erase the memory before you could put new sounds into the memory. Don't know why, but that's the way they did it. Next one. Comment question comes from Tony Jackson. In response to Roland S-50 Restoration Part 1, what to do next? Oh God, I need to get on with my S-50. A video I did in April 2022. And Tony writes, for the S-10, You can put a floppy emulator into it now, and if the drive doesn't work, you can still sample with it. You can't beat that 12-bit analog filtered sound. It's not useless like some old samplers. Also, Director S was $299, well, $300 bar a cent, and it's still going for that amount today. However, it's very, very rare. Yeah, of course you're right. I mean, you could put an emulator into the Roland S-10 keyboard. And to be honest, I never thought about doing that. But then the S50 for me is the example to own. If you put it into its 12-bit sampling circuitry and filtering is what makes this keyboard and sampler what it is, and for a child of the 80s as well. It's good to know the price of Director S though, thank you. I acquired my copy with the keyboard itself actually, but it took a while for me to work out what the strange dongle, because the way Director S worked is effectively you plug this strange dongle into the external control port, and it obviously made the Director S work in some way. But I spent ages trying to work out why I had this strange dongle in the box of discs that came with the S50. Da-da, such is life.